Welcome to Ian the HR Pro live podcast on Dangerously Unscripted. And just let me read from the script now. If you've ever thought, I want to support Indigenous people, but I don't want to say the wrong thing, this episode is for you. Today we're keeping it practical, how to spot performative allyship versus real action, how to start reconciliation at work without drowning in it, and what everyday anti-racism actually looks like in normal conversations. No guilt, no savior nonsense, just real steps you can take this week to actually help. So let's get into it. As always, I'm sorry I'm late, and I'm sorry I missed yesterday's show. There was a family thing that happened, and I was a little not in the mood to do a show, so I apologize. As always, my name is Ian Hopfe, and if you need to get a hold of me for anything, my link's always up in the top corner of the podcast, but you can also use this link here. All my links, another QR code, but it takes you to my link tree, linktr.ee/Ian the HR Pro. And whether you need to grab my $7 ebook to help you solve your staff drama in 5 days, or if you need to schedule a meeting for me for more serious issues, you can do it through there. As always, you can ask your questions in the comments. I'm going to try to answer questions at the end of the show from now on, and that could be a little more loosey-goosey with what we're doing, what we're saying, but I will try to get through my topics of the day first, so that we got that content right away. I don't know, I'm trying some new music, background music today. It's the down tempo channel, so let me know how you like that in the comments. If it's total crap, let's change it up. If it's not, let's keep it. Where's my show notes? I lost my notes. Oh my god. I had more of this coffee in me. Or tea. Earl Grey tea. I think I meant to say, let's get that caffeine in there. So, yeah, I talk about Indigenous relations and Indigenous allyship and things like that because I'm Indigenous. I'm a member of the Bigstone Cree Nation from Treaty 8 territory, and that covers most of northern Alberta. And I'm not speaking as an elder or knowledge keeper. I am just speaking as an Indigenous person with the lived experience. And I do this for my business. I do things like facilitate the Kairos blanket exercise, which is a 500-year history lesson of Indigenous people and Indigenous relations in Canada, basically since the start of colonialism in North America. Oh yeah, that's some good tea. So last week we talked about allyship versus aesthetics, right? Aesthetics is kind of just the statements, the shirts, and the acknowledgements only, right? Your organization, once a year, you get out the red shirts. This is a shirt that was gifted to me and my wife from Worley when we actually presented the Kairos blanket exercise to one of their Edmonton offices here. And that was really great, because Worley is really going through the motions. It's not just aesthetics for them. So what's the real action? They're actually doing training for their staff. So that's us coming in, doing the Kairos blanket exercise for their staff. That's them. Ooh. All right. That's them going that one step further. Actual training. Hiring. There's a real, with large organizations, there's a real gimme role. If you want to hire Indigenous people, there's that one role within these big organizations. That's your Indigenous relations person. That's a real gimme. Make that person an Indigenous person, right? And you're hiring an Indigenous person. The policy you really want to generate is a policy that your organization will hire at least 5% Indigenous people. And if you're in a very high Indigenous population community, like my home community is, 70% Indigenous, and the other 30% are people married to Indigenous people. Right? And if if someone moves to the community and they're not Indigenous, I find their children end up marrying into the community, right? It's a very tight-knit community. And oh God, I'm sorry. And for those communities, you want a few more people in that office if you're opening up an office, right? It's 70% Indigenous people in the area. Well, 70% of the people in that office should be Indigenous. Because that's your customer base. Those are the customers that are coming in, or you're dealing with your clients or whatnot, right? So you want them to see people that look like them. This will increase uptake in the community. Your new business, you're coming in, whatever, right? You want to make sure that you're contributing to the local economy first and foremost by hiring local people who, when they get paid, they keep the money in the community and help build that community. Like that is vital. That is vital for any small community, right? If you think you've got to bring in people from the outside, well, bring them in just as temporary to train the new locals. Oh. So, yeah, those are the types of policy changes you should be looking at. And make sure there's accountability. When you're making policies like this, you have to come back to them at least yearly and say, have we been doing this, right? For accountability, those sorts of hiring 5% Indigenous people Canada-wide should be part of your strategic plan that gets funneled down to your operations plan, that gets funneled down to your daily operations, right? Like it should be something that there's some real accountability on it. Here it is again, I'm sorry. Oh my God. I don't know why I'm so tired. Think when you're getting your organization into this reconciliation action journey, right? Ask questions like, what are we doing that changes a real Indigenous person's experience here? Whether if it's an Indigenous customer or client coming in, or if it's Indigenous employees coming into your organization, what are you doing that's really improving the experience they're having with your non-Indigenous staff and with the organization as a whole, right? Really, really think about these questions. That being said, it is not urgent that you make massive changes in your organization overnight. It is important that you start this journey. It is important that eventually you'll get there. But no one expects you to go from, no Indigenous relations to 100% Indigenous relations overnight, right? That's not practical. That's with anything with business or the economy or the government, right? Things don't ever happen overnight. Something on my lenses or something on my nose driving me nuts. There it is, right here. Oh my God. Okay, I found it. Found the culprit. Hopefully I didn't just put it back on my face. So allyship versus aesthetics. Always think about that. Just honestly, the aesthetics might come first. These are the quick and dirty things you can do overnight. The continued journey of allyship or reconciliation is a longer journey. So I don't know who's suddenly at my front door. Hopefully just a mailman. Anyway, let's just go into topic 2. Last week, we also talked about Truth and Reconciliation, call to action number 92. This is the primary one for business. If you're any sort of business in Alberta or Canada, you need to look at TRC number 92. And that's your starting point. And you don't have to get overwhelmed. Again, no one's expecting any organization to do this stuff overnight. No, we call these the TRC 94 calls to action. All 94 don't apply to you. Depending on your industry, if you're healthcare or education or child social services or something like that, there might be more that apply to you. So just go in and read the titles to see if anything really applies to you. But for the most part, you're looking at, as a small business owner, mostly small business owners are going to be watching this podcast, right? So number 92 is your go-to. And I kind of got 3 steps you could do this week to help you speed up your process. And again, I'm not telling you to do it quick, but these are 3 quick steps you can get, that you can do to get you started. Number one, learn the local First Nations and learn any local Indigenous organizations. So, where I come from, you'd be looking for the Bigstone Cree Nation. Here in Edmonton, you're probably going to want to, first thing you're thinking of, let's talk to the Enoch Cree Nation. They're right next to the city. They own the River Cree Casino and Resort, right? But there is another First Nation that is supposed to have territory near downtown, and that's the Papas Chase First Nations. They essentially got disbanded because they were they were given a reserve, but then the racist people at the time didn't want a reserve that close to Edmonton. Might have been called Fort Edmonton at the time still. Anyway, they were given land that basically was all of the southeast portion of the city, which is now Mill Woods. That was all supposed to be a reserve for the Papaschase First Nations. But before they could all move there, the local haters, racists in Edmonton, just made a stink and demanded that it get removed. So the reserve got taken away. Instead of being given another reserve and being officially recognized as a First Nation, the people were scattered all over central and northern Alberta, especially central eastern, central northern, northeastern type area, right? The membership went there and they integrated into, like, you know, a cousin's reserve instead of getting their own. So there's this big fight on. They do have a gas station that they're running in South Edmonton, right on Gateway Boulevard, Calgary Trail. Just as you're going south, Calgary Trail combines together, and the gas station is right there at that combining spot. And they're working to get their reserve back to be recognized as a nation. So if you're in Edmonton, you need to learn that. You may even go a little bit further out from the city and try to find a handful, right? Local Indigenous organizations, that might be a little bit harder, but a good place to start is the Native Friendship Centers. So if you have a Native Friendship Center in your community, you can go there, ask questions, or contact the executive director or something and ask what other Indigenous organizations there are, because that's like a meeting place. That's a connector point, right? The Native Friendship Centers aren't just for Indigenous people to go play bingo and have soup and bannock a few times a week for lunch, right? It is really a friendship center. All people from all races can go there to learn about Indigenous people or connect with Indigenous people. At least that's the way it's supposed to be. So, but there's a lot of Indigenous nonprofits. There might be Indigenous businesses that you might connect with, right? You might say, Ian, I'm in Edmonton. I want to connect with your business, LBH Business Services. I'm an HR consultant and Indigenous relations consultant, and I'm working on starting a vending machine division of my business, because me as an HR person, I understand the importance of proper vending in some of these locations where there's no restaurants nearby, or there's a lot of shifts and you can't really leave the job site for very long, right? So vending is like a benefit, right? So I'm working on that, and you might want to connect with me for any of those reasons, right? So that's the first one, right? Step one this week you can do: learn the local First Nations and any Indigenous organizations that might be here. In Edmonton, there's the Treaty 8 corporate offices, and I think the Treaty 6 corporate offices are here in Edmonton also. So you have an ability to connect with not just one First Nation, but all the First Nations of Treaty 8 and all the First Nations of Treaty 6, right? When you connect with those organizations. Number two, book a learning experience. Now, I say the Kairos blanket exercise because that's what I do. It's a great 500-year history. It hits all the major issues, right? The the treaties not being respected, Indigenous residential schools, missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people, the 60s scoop, right? All that sort of stuff that's covered. It's a real blanket. It uses blankets to teach, but it's also a great way to say this is a blanket learning. You learn all the history of Indigenous people. This is a great starting point to get that Kairos blanket exercise into your organization. And it's good for about 20 to 50 people. If there's more than 50 people, if I'm doing it, I might have to bring in another co-facilitator. But if you're a really large organization, you can also pay to have some of the people in your organization to get trained to be a facilitator like me. Facilitators must be Indigenous like me, and the co-facilitators, they don't have to be Indigenous. But you usually have two people, the Indigenous person who's the main facilitator, and then a co-facilitator that helps during the presentation. So it's, it fits really great for me and my wife. I'm Indigenous. My wife is not Indigenous. So we work as a really great team there. But you might want to get a handful of people trained up in your organization, especially if you're a big organization and you're thinking you want to hold a KBE a couple times a year because you have a lot of staff and it only supports 20 to 50 participants at once. So having them a couple times a year might be beneficial to you, and it might be cheaper for your organization if you just train some people, right? And then it becomes internal training as opposed to some external training that you have to book. There are similar educations out there, allyship workshops and things like that. There's Indigenous organizations, groups, consulting firms out there that have this Indigenous training that they can bring in, the allyship type training. Similarly, I also have allyship training that I only offer to my Kairos blanket exercise clients. So you have to book Kairos blanket exercise with me, and then after that it qualifies you for my allyship training, because I want to make sure your organization has the proper background and knowledge of Indigenous issues, that I can properly speak to them, and your organization will be able to better understand why you do certain things for allyship, right? Oh. And the third thing you can do, right? The first thing is learn the local Indigenous nations and organizations. 2, have some sort of learning experience or book it. And 3, set a measurable commitment. So your organization is now committed to hiring 5% Indigenous people. And this might be pretty easy, because every time you have a new position come forward, the organizations you met, the First Nations and the Indigenous organizations you met, when that new job opens up, you send the job ad to those organizations first, right? Give them a week or 2 to distribute that amongst their email list or post up on their job boards or whatever they might have before you post it, like on Indeed or in other locations where you're unsure if you're going to get some Indigenous people, because you want to get a lot of Indigenous resumes coming in. So that's the 3 things, man, that you can do that this week and get this TRC call to action number 92 on the road, get it rolling, right? I might have to have a nap after this live, man. I might not have the energy to go long either. Topic number 3 for today, something I haven't really talked about, and I don't know if I can answer this even. I'm using AI to help me with my show notes, and I told it, take 2 topics from last week and let's continue them, and then generate 2 topics that are related to what I've spoken about. And the ChatGPT, which I call Byte, we came up with a name for my ChatGPT. So Byte comes up with these show notes for me, and it's really interesting when you start using AI for these sorts of things. And I started using it for my show notes because, I had one of my live shows get a larger amount of views on YouTube. And I looked at the analytics, and most people stopped watching after 37 seconds. I'm like, oh my God. So I threw that transcript into ChatGPT, and Byte crunched on it for a little bit and said, you're too loosey-goosey. You don't have enough structure. You don't have a good hook at the start of your lives. So I was like, okay, let's roll with that, right? So now it creates me like a 30-second hook to try to get people in, and it gives me show notes based on last week's transcript. So pretty awesome. So this topic number 3 is Indigenous procurement, right? So it's telling me start small, right? You want to start getting other indigenous businesses connected with you, and so you need the wholesalers, the whatever service providers, whatever it might be, and you can start small, one supplier, one service contract, or one event vendor, or something like that, right? Keep it small. Start something small. See how you can build a larger relationship. Again, it's not a rush thing, right? You're trying to start your procurement. So I would say do a little bit of research on the organization that says we're Indigenous, or we have Indigenous products for you. Say you're convenience store, some sort of retail store, and you want to start an Indigenous product section. So I think about what my mom and my sister does. My mom does traditional beadwork and even moccasin making. And if you were some sort of retail location and you were like, okay, this section is going to be just for Indigenous products. Now, you could go with a non-Indigenous company that has all kinds of so-called Indigenous products and fill that section in, but then ends up not really supporting your local Indigenous community or your local people. So again, You've made the connections to the local organizations, the local First Nations, Friendship Center, and you're saying, I need someone to make me 50 pairs of earrings to help me fill out this Indigenous section in my store, right? I need someone to build 5 different sizes of moccasins, right, for children and people with small feet, or these are the sizes I want for moccasins, right? Like, if you do that and you're paying the fair prices, these are skilled artisans, so they deserve to get paid the good stuff. You can have proof that it's a local person. You can put their photo there and where they're from and bio information, right? So this is made by Elder Millie Hopfe from Bigstone Cree Nation, and she builds moccasins and beadwork and does beadwork. So then you'd have this little section where there'd be some of her product there. And I mean, yeah, you're trying to make money, so you're gonna get more money, but you're gonna pay the decent price. And I think if people want authentic local artisan work, then they're gonna pay that price. And it's when it comes to these traditional artists, nobody wants to race to the bottom, right? If it takes my mother 12 hours to create something, she needs to make a decent hourly wage for herself, plus the cost of the materials, right? So it's important. My sister says, I'm late. What'd I miss? Christmas concert day. Send pics of Oliver later. Oh, yeah, that's her grandson. Oliver, my grandson, Oliver. Traditionally, we would call everybody at that level by one name. So when I think about my mother, okay, her cousins, so first cousins, they're all uncle, auntie to me, right? So if we go the other way, Oliver is my sister's grandson, so he would refer to me as Musum, and I would refer to him as my grandson, right? Because it's the same level of relationship. So all my first cousins' kids should call me Uncle Ian, right? Even though we're not, we're first cousins. We're not brothers and sisters, right? So it's interesting. Oh, and we've been getting calls for orders, which is nice. All local, which is doable, she says. So she's got a crafting business. They do some amazing stuff. And, she works with my mom to sell my mom's stuff too. And if you want to go check out their websites, their Facebook groups, they're in all my links in there. There's one for my sister, her Unbound Creations, and one for my mother. They're both in there. What's my mom called? Wabaska Indigenous Crafts, I think. I don't even know. I put by Elder Millie there, so you can go in there, go check out their stuff, make an order. I mean, it's coming on Christmas time. I don't know if you'll be able to get special order by Christmas, but they do special orders. I said doo-doo. Anyway, so that's lost track of my show notes. I don't even know where we are. Yeah, so you wanna connect locally if you're thinking about Indigenous products you want, or Indigenous services, right? If you are a consulting business and you want to offer allyship training or something like that, connect with a local Indigenous person that can be a contractor and deliver your content as an Indigenous person with that Indigenous lived experience. Gotta post everything we have on stock hopefully this evening. Yeah, Wabasca Traditional Native Crafts by Millie. That's my mom. But yeah, Joy's gonna post all her stuff on her Facebook group. Let's see what she's got. You should go sell it before someone else purchases it. They're doing pretty brisk business. I want to see them do a brisker business. I said brisker. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it is. Funny. Anyway, now there's a big thing if you're trying to connect with Indigenous procurement. Try to avoid the one and done photo ops. Sorry, it's like, hey, we connected with this Indigenous person just for this event, and we've done nothing else. But here, let's have a handshake and take a photo so we can put it on our Indigenous relations page, right? We want to avoid that. I don't even. You want to support. You want to continue supporting them. So you're like, hey, we use these distributors or something, and you can continue sharing that information. That's great. But try to avoid that because that feels really white savior-ish, taking advantage, right? I got to rent and washroom, ladies and gentlemen, so I will be right back. I'm back. I'm back, yo. I'm back like Backstreet. I should be able to show on stream. I could make it so you guys could chat amongst yourselves while I'm gone. I just have to adjust this. I'll be right back. So you could have the chat up the whole time. I just have to trust you guys aren't gonna say swear words or dirty words, especially you Indigenous people out there. You're gonna just put up swear words in Cree or something like that. So no, we gotta turn that off. Can't trust you people. So anyway, oh, I lost my show notes now. Of course, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Right, Indigenous procurement. Right. You got to build those relationships with those Indigenous people and let them know that you're going to continue to purchase their product for resale or resell their services, or you're going to hire them for something. I mean, you're looking for event space, Native Friendship Center. Usually these places have a bit of a hall built in, or boardrooms or something like that. So that's an option for you to be using for your events if you need a space like that. Excuse me, burping again. So good question to ask. How do we become a repeat customer, not a one-time headline, right? Again, that's that one and done Photoshop op. You're just trying to show that you've connected one time. Well, I think an ongoing relationship is going to be a lot better than a one and done, right? And it's really not that hard, man. It's not that hard to make those connections if you're looking for some sort of Indigenous procurement. Now, there's a lot of Indigenous organizations that aren't just doing Indigenous stuff. They do regular things. So it's definitely something you want to connect with. I know there's a Competition to Uline. I can't remember the name of the company. Shoot. It is an Indigenous-owned supply company. So they have their big binder and their website. All the products you need for shipping and cleaning and safety and, all those office-related supplies or organization-related supplies. There's an Indigenous company for that. Shoot, I can't remember the name for the life of me. I've lost it. It doesn't indicate that they're Indigenous, like in the name. Just having a quick look to see if I can't see if it shows up. Okay, I think this is the company. Yeah. This is them. eSupply Canada. Yes, eSupply Canada. They are an Indigenous supply company. I'm going to create a quick QR code you can look at. won't upload an image, but eSupply Canada. Here's their QR code. The actual link should have showed up in the chat, hopefully, depending on which platform you're watching me on. eSupply Canada. They are an Indigenous-owned supply company that's in direct competition to companies like Uline. And from the HR side of things, Uline isn't exactly a good place to work. They've got a bad rep employee-wise. But anyway, so eSupply Canada, I would definitely go with them if you have office supplies you need. There's office furniture, office supplies. They have technology, facility and break room. They have industrial stuff, circular saw blade, like garden hose. They have everything. So if you want to support an Indigenous-owned organization, go to eSupply Canada. I think I'm connected with the owner on LinkedIn, and he's reminded me because I posted a photo once. Uline, they're kind of devious. They create their sales catalog, and they print business names on it, and they mail it out to these businesses, right? And so it's a direct mail. It's got your business name on it. It kind of flatters you. And I kind of said, you're in the big leagues when your name is on a supply catalog like Uline. And the owner of eSupply Canada came on, made a comment and said, you should use eSupply because we're Canadian-owned, Indigenous-owned supply company. So that's really neat. I mean, if I'm doing a lot of supplies, I'm going through eSupply Canada as much as possible. So I'll get rid of that. And there was cousin of mine. I forgot how he spells it. Sorry, I'm just trying to do a search. Okay. Mitsu is owned by a cousin of mine. His name is also Ian. His name is Ian Cardinal. And I think we're third or fourth cousins in there somewhere. And this is his company. And so I'm going to create another QR code. So Mitsu in Cree means eat. So what his company is creating is traditional pemmican and dry meat. And he started off just as a food vendor with a little food trailer thing, and he would go to powwows and sell his bannock and stuff like that. But he, over the last 10 years here, I think it's about 10 years, he's developed Mitsu and has really gone big and created a lot of product. And we weren't we weren't that close growing up. I believe he was a grade or two higher than me in school, so we weren't really close. But I'm really proud of him that he can create this business, this Indigenous-owned business, and just amazing. So I want to, once I get my vending machine business going, once I find some locations, I'm going to be putting miso into my machines. Wholesale, corporate gifts, education, fundraisers, right? He's got a lot of stuff on his website. So certainly check that out. These are Indigenous-owned businesses, right? And they're going big. So, I was going to share, but I don't want to. Look, I just went into the infinite sharing. I'm gonna move those into a new window. Move to new window. And where'd I go? Here I am. Okay, so I'm gonna share these other windows. What is this? No, this is not. What's going on here? I got too many windows open now, and I don't know what the heck I'm sharing. Oh my God. Hopefully I'm still streaming properly, because that was weird. The windows just went crazy for me, and yeah, I think I closed the original window. This isn't opening. What is going on? This is not. This is bizarre. Okay, I'm just trying to share these two websites with you. Okay, here's the Mitsu website. I'll make myself bigger. I'm going to shrink down that window so we can see it better. Here's the Mitsu website. This is cousin of mine. That's his name. His name's Ian. So it was funny every time we saw each other. It was like, hey Ian, hi Ian. Sometimes there'd be this third Ian in Wabasca, and there would be three of us Ians all in one location. So it was kind of funny. But this is years and years ago, right? So just these great products, and I wish him luck. I'm so proud of him for creating such a great business like that. It's so fun to see people, going big, going hard, right? And here's the other company. This is Indigenous-owned supply company, right? So they are, sorry, my logo is covering their logo. Boom, put it over. switch sides and it just... Anyway, esupplycanada.ca, right? That's the link I had created and put in here. So they got like everything, man. Like this is a full-on industrial supply company. Well, yeah, it's got everything there, right? Every department you can think of, right? All these furniture, all these office supplies, all these technology things, facility and break room stuff, right? Anti-fatigue mats, floor and carpet cleaners, air purifiers, right? More industrial stuff, paper hand towel rolls, right? Everything's there. So they're a legit supply company, and they're Indigenous. Work with them, right? Stop screen sharing. My God. My sister says, I'd love a vending machine business. Well, I know. If you guys ever move to Edmonton, maybe you can help me with it. You want to support an Indigenous vending machine business? Check this out. Check it out. Un moment, s'il vous plaît, mon collègue va vous aider. That's all the French I know. I needed that for working at the federal government. Here we go. I'll share this screen. I'm just getting it together. I don't have any clients yet. So I just created this page over the last day or so. I'm calling it Prime Shift Vending. Me and my HR ChatGPT pal, aka Byte, helped run through this. I asked all the questions. It helped me. Byte created this logo, this Prime Shift Vending logo. So the P and the S, very cool. Very cool. Right, who we are. It helped me create all this wording that's here. AI helped me with this. I created these images myself. That's why they suck so bad. Why Prime Shift Vending, right? So I am working on the clients I want are manufacturing plants. You sure he's not Cardinal? That's the other Ian, isn't it? That's the third Ian. He's a Cardinal. Yes, this is Ian Gladue, who owns Mitsu. Good correcting, my sister. Good correcting. See, I got all these Ians mixed up. There's also an Ian... Ian Hallock, or... Well, there was a younger Ian anyway, so there was the three of us Ians who were right close to the same age. Ian Gladue, Ian Cardinal, and me. And then there was another Ian who was younger, 4 or 5 years younger or something. So that was... Stop using my name. I don't come across Ians a whole lot. Right? You see a lot of Johns, Matts, Michaels, right? All the biblical names. Ian is the Celtic form of John. So essentially my name is just John. Someone's texting the crap out of me. Okay. Nothing important. Just an update. So this is my business, right? I'm trying to concentrate on manufacturing plants and industrial facilities, warehouses and distribution centers, hospitals and medical centers, large multi-shift workplaces operating 24/7, right? These are I know from being in HR, I know that a good vending service, especially in these places, they're in industrial areas, they're way away from the convenience stores or a restaurant. There's nothing open at midnight when shift change is happening, or whenever shift change happens, right? So that's why I say proper on-site vending is an employee benefit. If you can have proper vending with good snacks and or good foods, if you have a proper fancy AI powered vending machine, you can have a really great service. Like your employees, they work hard, so why don't they deserve a good place to get some good snacks, or even that midnight meal, something they can throw in the microwave and stuff like that, right? Oops, excuse me. So that's what I'm doing. These are the clients I want because it's worth it. Vending machine locations, they'll make you or break you. If I'm just somewhere where there's a lot of foot traffic and people are just walking by, I mean, I'd need 1,000 people a day to walk by that vending machine to get, 0.1% of people are making a purchase, right? So 1,000 people times 0.01 is 10 purchases. And if the average purchase is, say, like $5, might be less. Buying a pop or something, maybe well, let's say $4, right? So that vending machine's going to make $40 in a day with 1,000 people walking by. It's not worth it. That vending machine needs to make $100 to $200 a day to really be worth it. Especially with the special AI machines I'm putting in. You see some of them here, but they're more of a mini market as opposed to a vending machine. So, right? Basically, does your site qualify, right? 100 plus employees on site or 50 plus employees per shift, multiple shifts or 24-hour operations, limited nearby food options, secure indoor placement available, standard power access, right? So I don't want my machines just being on the outside of your building somewhere and there's no power. Obviously, that's not going to work. But if you have a large shift change and you really want to create a benefit for your employees, improve their work culture, have some great vending machines in there, some great vending services with some great food. Depending on the location, we could start putting in fresh food, the fruit cups and pre-made sandwiches, things like that, right? Like things that might be really easy to eat. My wife loves the Haggard subs, so those will probably go in as long as there's a microwave for your employees to use. But for that matter, I could supply a counter with a couple microwaves in it, right? So there's everything we can do, right? And you just click on this to schedule a meeting, and now you got an Indigenous company supplying your vending needs in your organization. Ta-da! And I'm just taking this slow. If I find a client, I find a client. If I don't find a client, that's okay. I'm taking my time. Where were we? I don't even know what section we were on. Oh, we're talking about trying to get the Indigenous procurement. You're trying to connect with more Indigenous businesses to either give you services or maybe you're giving them services. But The idea is, if you are trying to get 5% Indigenous people in your organization as employees, then every other thing you do, if you're using outside contractors, try to get 5% of those to be Indigenous-owned. If you're using suppliers, right, try to get 5% of those as Indigenous suppliers. And that's easy to do. If you were using eSupply Canada, that could be 90% of your organizational supply needs, right? Talk about supporting Indigenous business. Topic number 4, I want to talk about cultural safety in hiring and onboarding. We want to remove some barriers. Jargon, job ads. You want to use what's the word? Industry jargon. Yes, you want to use that. But there's certain things you need to just keep it simple. Run your job ad through ChatGPT and say, please rewrite this for someone with a 5th grade reading comprehension could understand it, right? Like, this isn't just Indigenous people. This is everybody. Everybody has trouble reading some job ads sometimes, right? Cultural fit language sometimes can be a barrier. Because I find sometimes it's just a way for you to be a little biased and or racist by saying you must be this type of person or something like that, right? Like, it almost reads red flags, right? I remember once I put a message out there on a local Facebook group, a Dungeons and Dragons Facebook group for Edmonton. And I put in, hey, I can't remember if I was looking. No, we had a group going, still have the group. And we were looking for another person or two to join us playing Dungeons and Dragons. So we're looking for some players, right? And in that message, I wrote down, you must be left-leaning or progressive in nature, right? Like, because I didn't want to deal with a biased and or racist person in my group, right? I wanted someone who cared about people and cared about diversity and everything, right? I'm Indigenous. I have a right to have a nice person in my group. And the racists came out and they were like, what does this have to do with playing Dungeons and Dragons? And it was like, oh my God. It's because I don't want to be around some a-hole racist like you, Mr. Commenter. Oh, the trolls. The trolls. We got a guy. He's still playing with us. And he's really great. And the stuff he shares on Facebook and stuff like that, he's a very left-leaning person. He's a person of color, right? So I felt we did good. We did great in finding this guy using that ad. Whoa! Spammer from Twitch. Cheap viewers on streamboo.ca. Remove the space. Those of you following me on Twitch, that's a spammer from Twitch. It's some sort of spam bot, right? A lot of times it shows up anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, but sometimes I've seen it show up within half an hour, 45 minutes. So, thank you, Twitch spam bot, for making a comment on my live stream, hopefully attracting other viewers myself. They're just trying to steal viewers from Twitch. I mean, millions of viewers on Twitch watching people stream. Those people aren't leaving Twitch. Anyway. So there's cultural safety in hiring and onboarding, right? So it's okay to say what type of person, but sometimes that type of person might be a red flag. Must love hunting, drinking beer, lifted trucks, and NASCAR. I mean, good old boy. Not the group of people that I would feel comfortable with. Must like import beer. Well, maybe it might get me. But I'm saying, watch these cultural fit language that you put into your hiring and onboarding. There's tricks that people use to be racist or be biased in some way. My sister spoke about, she commented on the show when we're talking about career stuff on Thursdays on this show. She mentioned some job ads say must have your own vehicle, right? If your job you're advertising for does not need a vehicle and you're not giving reimbursement, your job requires traveling around doing this and the company will reimburse your mileage and your fuel or something like that, you put that in, right? But if you're just saying must own your own vehicle and it has nothing to do with your job, you're being biased. You're being biased for people that don't have a vehicle, biased against people that take the bus. Not everyone can afford a vehicle, so you're being biased against young people that haven't really started their career yet. You're biased against certain demographics. New Canadians might not have a vehicle yet. Indigenous people are tend to be lower on the economic scale, so they might not have a vehicle. So this is a way for you to be biased. And, maybe all you're saying is that we have a lot of people who call in late or come in late or miss work because they can't get to work because they don't have vehicles. So you're thinking you're going to solve this by saying must own a vehicle. You put must own a vehicle on your job ad, you must pay them for that vehicle, right? Like it's really a no-brainer. Stop trying to be biased without paying for it, right? Rigid interview scoring. We see this a lot with the initial review of resumes, not just in the interview. Seeing an ethnic name or a Indigenous name on the resume, you may be biased. Between John Smith and John Yellowjacket, more of a traditional sounding name, you're like, we're going to go with John Smith, right? Like, or some other ethnic last name, even an ethnic first name. You might be, I don't know how to say that name. I don't want to say that name. I don't want to learn how to say that name. So we're going to go with John Smith, right? Like, I totally understand why new Canadians will take an American or Canadian sounding name instead of using their true name. I mean, it's sad. It's terrible. I want everybody to respect their name, and I want to honor their name. This is you. But, when new Canadians know that they have to use a Canadian name to get by, I mean, that's sad. It's really sad. So, rigid interview scoring. You're hiring someone to do a job. You're not hiring someone to take interviews, right? So if someone is terrible at interviewing, that doesn't mean they're terrible at doing the job. You're rating their job skills, not their interviewing skills. And people, some organizations, they seem to forget that when it comes to hiring people. Where was I? My thing disappeared. Why has it disappeared? I don't know why it rolled up. Right. Oh my God. Unpaid prove yourself expectations. Here's a project we want you to do for us. Are you just getting free ideas from your job applicants? That's what the probation period is for. The first 90 work days, right? The first 3 months. Cut it down to 2 months. You should be able to tell within 2 months whether or not someone is going to make it in your organization, right? Use that. It's better to get someone in training than cutting someone because you're just being too rigid in the interview process or scoring. I remember once, this is long before I realized that people were being racist towards me. And of course, every time I say this, some troll comes out. I was asked in an interview if I wrote my own resume. And at the time, in the moment, I'm like, yeah. And I was proud of that. I'm like, thanks for noticing. It's so good. Now, why did they ask me that? Was it so good or was it so bad? Right? If it was bad, they're thinking, oh, this Indigenous guy in front of us doesn't know how to write a resume. If it's good, this Indigenous guy must be lying and had someone else write his resume, right? That's the thought process in hindsight that I realized that was going through their minds. So during this interview process, I was questioned whether or not I created my own resume. In the moment, I took pride in it. In hindsight, this was a kick in the face. They were trying to catch me in some sort of lie or something. I bet you that person that asked me that question after I left, they probably put doubt into the other interviewers' minds by saying, I don't think he wrote his own resume. I think he lied to us. I don't think we can trust him. And I think that's why I didn't get that assistant manager job. So it's really bad when you're asking for, you got this situation and come up with 5 ideas in this little project, and like, don't do that. Maybe you want to do a test that says we have to use Excel a lot for this role, so we want you to take this little Excel test to see where you're at. Recreate this Excel document. Right now, you give them this piece of paper. So then you test it, see if that person used the proper formatting, proper formulas to generate this document, right? That's a better prove yourself than giving us ideas and we're just a big scammer organization, right? It happens, man. So you want your organization, especially when you're hiring Indigenous people, right? You got to make sure there's a clear onboarding plan, mentorship plan, your feedback loops, and psychologically safe reporting systems, right? Because you need to get that feedback. You need to make sure this Indigenous person or person of color or even woman in your organization is safe and happy with their role. So those are things to think about. And my God, stop saying you're a family. Your organization is not a family. When was the last time you could fire somebody from your family? Right? Like, that's... You're not a family. You might be a nice place to work, but you're not a family. Stop using that. That's the lamest. Saying you're a family is a red flag. The family wouldn't fire somebody and then you never see them again. Family wouldn't replace a family member within 6 hours or something of someone dying, right? Like, that's not the way a family works. Stop saying that. So if you have questions, I'm willing to answer your questions. Respectful questions. Do you have any misconceptions? Do you have some workplace situations with Indigenous people? What to say when someone says something ignorant, known as just joking, right? We all get into these situations. I was in a situation this morning where I'm a board member for a local organization, and our employee locked their keys in their office and couldn't leave because their door key and their vehicle key were on the same keychain, locked in the office. So I had to rush over. It's really close. I had to rush over and let them use my key. As a board member, I have a key to let them in. Okay, that's fine. Well, we had one of our contractors walk in just as I was about to leave. And as the contractor walked in, I tend to be old school when I speak with older people, especially older gentlemen, especially older white gentlemen. Something my dad used to say when he would meet someone, he would say, "Hello, sir," right? And that isn't culturally correct anymore, socially correct, because using sir might misgender somebody, right? So what's wrong with just hello? Anyway, so I defaulted because he's an older white gentleman, older than me. So I was like, "Hello, sir," just as he came in the door. But our worker, like, the door's here, I was standing where I am, and the door's here, and our worker's over here on the other side of them black floor mats. He walked in and immediately turned away from me to speak to our worker. He was right in front of me. And okay, his son had poked in the door and said, "Hey, Michelle, this is my dad," right? So the direction was going that way, but I greeted him as he walked in because I recognized the company logo on his jacket, and I knew he was one of the contractors we as the board employ. So I was giving him some respect, but he turned right in front of me. I don't think he even acknowledged me when I said, "Hello, sir." And I was just like, okay, I'm going to go. And I don't know if I said anything. I was just too shocked. And I left. And after the fact, I don't know why I'm upset. He doesn't know me from Adam, right? Doesn't know I'm a board member. He doesn't know that I'm one of the people who decides whether we pay for him or we use a different contractor, right? He doesn't know that. But I greeted him as he walked into the building, and he gave me no respect. As soon as he walked in, he turned towards our worker, and he was right in front of me. He turned right in front of me. He didn't take a couple more steps in and kind of turn towards both of us. He turned right in front of me. I was looking at his back and the back of his head, maybe a foot in front of me. Like, he was right there. So this person gave me no respect whatsoever. Why didn't he give me any respect? Obviously, he didn't know who I was or what I did. Had no idea. But I did greet him because I recognized the logo on his jacket. So why would you not give a little respect to someone that greeted you as you walked in? And in hindsight, it felt very cold. It was very cold. Like, to turn and block someone in close quarters like that, that's an insult. And, I think anybody would get upset if that happened to them. If someone they directly addressed finished coming in and then turned. He was almost dead in front of me. I had to kind of go around him to open the door to get out. And I don't know. Right? But there's a lot of just joking. These racist, biased jokes that we get. And I think women get a lot. We know the jokes. And it's really up to men to call out other men when they're doing bad things. And especially, the onus is on white middle-aged men to do this calling out more so that they give the floor to the woman or the person of color, the Indigenous person, right? Because that white middle-aged male in most settings has all the power and all the privilege, because that's the way the society has developed here in Canada. So it's up to them to learn and to give way. This is a real allyship thing to do. But I think a lot of old school men out there kind of calling you out. We have trouble dealing with these newfangled emotions and realities in the world. So it's hard to call out other men when you're in that misogynistic men environment, especially when it's white men environment, right? Like, it's a different feeling. Obviously, I'm not comfortable when I'm in this manly situation where it's all white men, right? It is different for me. I'm feeling I have a different lived experience in this situation as an Indigenous male, right? So allyship is really at the base of it. It's giving respect where needed. I wasn't given respect. This person today, what did he see? Why would you turn your back on someone that close? What did he see? Did he see an Indigenous man? Did he see a fat man? Right? I'm a big guy. I am. So societies have these cross-sectionalities, right? You might be a woman and face misogynistic discrimination, but if you're also a black woman, you're getting it twice. If you're a black woman who's part of the LGBTQ plus community, you got it 3 times, right? So we have this level of racism and cross-sectionality. So if you're a white male, middle-aged white male, you don't have any lived experience on being racialized or being biased. There's always going to be something. Everybody's got their level of being discriminated against. But that's your section of discrimination. If the discrimination scale is way out here, the full screen, the white male, the white middle-aged male, his discrimination is this tiny end over here. This tiny little bit. That's his level of discrimination, right? Oh, maybe you're too old. Maybe you're bald. Maybe you wear glasses. Maybe you're chubby. Maybe you have white hair. Maybe you have an accent or something, right? Like, but you're white male. This is your level of discrimination, right? It's tiny in comparison to the level of discrimination out there, right? Women have this big chunk of discrimination, and then you add these other cross-sectionalities. A woman of color, a woman in the LGBT community. So we see the white males, and then beside it is white women, and then beside that is guys like me, Indigenous men of color, Indigenous man with a German sounding last name. That's me. But then you add being fat or whatever, right? So mine is a little bit bigger, but it's nothing compared to other people that I can name, right? But my level, my section of discrimination is way larger than a white woman and a white male, right? So, yes. Everybody can be discriminated against in some way, but it just doesn't. Certain people, it just doesn't compare to what other experiences people are having, right? Like, it's just middle-aged white male has 1/1,000,000th of the complaints that other people on the biased scale are having right now, right? So, the just joking, insidious. People make a racist joke and they say, just kidding, right? That's a feeler. They're feeling, they're checking out who laughed, who likes my racist joke. Are those my people? I can go hang out and be racist with them, right? But the other part of that is who didn't laugh and who called me out for that racist joke, right? It seems hard. It seems really hard. Me and my wife saw a I think he was South Asian man at Home Depot, employee. South Asian man, so he's Indian, a little bit older. I think he was probably in his 40s or 50s. But there was an even older white man, a little more gray-haired, maybe at least 10 years older than this worker. And he's kind of talking really loudly at this employee, and he's saying, "I don't understand you. Go get someone who speaks English. Trying to get good customer service here," whatever. Like, he was going on about it. And me and my wife were just shocked. And in hindsight, we were really saddened. And we realized that we didn't stand up in the moment. We didn't defend that South Asian man from this white man's attack right in the store. And we felt really bad. And we talked about it. And, you know, the thing is, my wife she's my biggest ally. And I love her so much for that, right? So, but we decided, this was kind of at the start of my journey, realizing, hey, people are racist towards me, and I didn't realize it, right? So we agreed that we would call out. If we saw that sort of behavior in public, we agreed that we would call it out and defend the person being verbally attacked. It's a hard decision. We had one of our long conversations while we were driving home or whatever, and it was like, I don't know, it was one of those like week-long conversations you have with your spouse, and it's just like continues. You know that as soon as someone starts saying something, they mean that conversation, right? So it was one of those conversations, and we really had to make some big decisions about that. And it was both scary and liberating that we had made these decisions to defend people. So anyway, I think I'm going to end the show here. So if you need to get a hold of me for something, here's my QR code. I'll put it back up on the screen. If you're doing business, and you have staff problems, get my $7 ebook. You can start stopping staff drama in 5 days. It gives you that initial toolkit to get you started on that journey to making your workplace better. If you need to book a meeting with me, so you need HR support, you want some Indigenous relations support, maybe you want some small business marketing support, yeah, all that jazz, man. If you need that, go ahead. The link's there. Book a meeting with me. We'll chat it up. I'll get you going in the right direction. And I do have an Indigenous relations ebook in the works. It's coming soon. I don't know how soon. As soon as I get the energy to finish it off. I've got some other versions, and I'm just trying to put them together. But I want something simple, like the stopping staff drama in 5 days. I want to create something like that. That's really quick, easy, get you going. Might have some of this stuff that I've already spoken about in my lives. Yeah. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you, Joy, for chatting today. I hope you're feeling better today. Love you. Okay. Bye, everyone.